You know what time it is? It's tool time! Alright, this episode is all about squares. Alright, if you watched the level video, you heard me talking about how things need to be perfectly plumb, which means vertical, so in line with gravity, and things need to be level, right? That is perpendicular to gravity. And if those two lines are perfect, it forms a 90-degree corner or a square. And so, as a carpenter, for quick reference, these squares enable you to align things so you can, if you make something square, you are then able to make it plumb and level. If something's not square, you can never make it plumb and level. Either it's going to be level, but then the plumb is at an angle, or the other way around. And so when you're building, you need things to be perfectly square in 90-degree corners. In the construction world, being square is cool. So, this one is called a speed square, or a triangle square, or a raptor square. I call it a speed square. And so this is just its big brother. And then this kind, this will be called a combination square. And so it just means combination because you can slide it back and forth, right? And it tells you 45 degree and also 90 degree. And then this one is your framing square, all right? And so they all basically are made to do the same purpose, and that is draw a 90-degree corner and then tell you the various angles in between. And so for the most part, what you're going to be carrying with you all the time is a frame or a speed square. All right, so a speed square is used when you're making a cut on a board. You want it to be perfectly square on the end, again, because you want it to be flat so it lines up to another board. You're able to make it a perpendicular 90-degree corner, right? And so basically every cut you're making, for the most part, probably 70% of the time, if not more, you're making 90-degree cuts. And so a speed square, they call it speed square, you whip it out of your pouch really quick, you grab it, it has this nice lip on the edge, right? And so what this lip allows you to do is to pull it tight to the edge of your board, and so off of the edge you can draw a perfect 90-degree line. And so let me show you that. That little lip, again, it clicks on the edge, and now you're able to draw that 90-degree line. So when you're marking a straight line, again, this edge right here on the edge of the square, all you gotta do is hook that on your board, lock it in, scribe your line. You can do it this way too if you like, and push it up into it. I prefer to pull it down, but it's up to you. And so for the most part, what you guys in class are going to be using with squares, that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be drawing 90-degree lines. There's other grooves and other ways you can use this thing to scribe lines and do different things like that, but for the most part, you'll be just drawing that 90-degree. So what's cool about squares is they don't just give you a 90-degree angle, they also will give you a 45. And so if you, again, you hook this on the edge, hook it on the edge, and instead of drawing this line, which would be 90 or square, what you would do is you would draw this line. And then you're going to have a 45-degree angle, right? And so you can cut your 90, or if you do here, it'll be a 45. So on these squares, in the corner, it's marked pivot. And so if you wanted to draw another angle other than a 45 or a 90, what you would do is you hold that pivot line. Here, let me show you. You hold this pivot line in here in the corner on your mark, wherever you want to start from, and then you slide this so that right here your degree mark lines up with the edge of your board. So here I'm looking at a 15-degree cut, here I'm looking at a 25, here I'm looking at a 45, and so on and so forth. right? So if you draw these lines based off your pivot point, the marking right here is what angle you're cutting. To show you how this pivot works, I need to show you right here on this corner. See how it has the word pivot? So when you put this on, we're going to use this as our reference point. That's my pivot point. So now, if I leave it straight, we are at 90 degrees. Let's slide over. So now, as I turn, you see right here, I'm lined up with 5 degree. And so we have a 5 degree angle. Move it over, 15. Again, all the way, if you keep the pivot point, whatever degree here, here's what you're looking at. So here would be a 45 degree. And just to test it, to show you, I'm going to draw this line. And now you know, right here, this is 45, right? If you put it that way. So now when you put it on here, check it out. It lines up perfect with that 45 degree line. I can also show you this way. You see how that pencil line, it lines up perfect. So one more thing, when you're doing this pivot, not only does it tell you degree, but it also tells you common roof pitches, right? So if you have a 312 roof, you're looking right here. And so that's your different roof pitch. So a lot of roofs are 412 to 612, and so this would be just giving you your roof pitch, and then you would use that to cut your rafter tails. So there's other markings on this, but for the most part, what you need to know is how to make a 90, understand that it's 90 and a 45, and then also if you have to make another angle, you can use that. You can pivot and mark your other angle, right? So that's what you're going to be using a speed square most of the time. And again, this is the same thing, it's just its bigger brother, and it's used, say you have a bigger board, this just isn't big enough. So you take this one, and now you can draw your straight line, right? And so, combination square is you can adjust this and slide it around on the ruler. This is just a metal ruler that has a square attached to it. And so again, this forms a 90, but what's cool about this is, say you want to mark something an inch off your board, you can lock this in place with this little wheel, lock it at 1 inch, and then so you're able, you can use that as a little marking. Instead of pulling out your tape measure, you can just use this as a quick reference, or you can do a scribe line or different things. That's what you're going to use one of these combination squares for. And lastly, the framer square, right? So one of these is used for if you have just something bigger, an inside corner you want to find out. This is just easy. You can lay on the table to find square. And then how you would mark something square, it doesn't have an edge on it. There's no lip, so you can't catch the edge. But what you would do, I'm going to show you again while I'm here. So what you do is you hold it over the edge like this just a little bit, and then you're going to tilt it down just slightly and hold it like that. You're at a little bit of an angle, but this edge right here, this is touching your board. So you can use this edge and scribe your line. So you're going to pinch it tight on one side, and then you would describe your line. Most of the time, if you talk to a carpenter, they're pulling one of these out of their pocket. Because again, this is small, it's easy to keep in your pouch. But this still has its place. So for big long angles on a roof, if you're cutting your rafters, sometimes you need a bigger angle, or especially on stairs. Because think about it. What does this look like? It looks like a step, right? There's steps. So imagine you can use this, you line up your measurements here, so let's say our step has a 12-foot step on it and then a 7-inch rise or up and down, right? And so you can hold these two marks, put it on your board, and if you trace that, your stairs are going to basically be drawn out that way. And so these are most common used for stair building, and when you cut stringers, and a stringer is just the support that holds up your stairs. So that's the main time you see someone break one of these out, is when they're cutting steps or cutting rafters on a roof. But again, for what you're going to use the squares for, is marking that 90 degree so you get a nice clean straight cut, and then basically any other time you need to make sure you are square. And square is cool, again, because it has to do with plumb and level and everything working out together. You want your building to be square because you want it to be plumb and level. And all those things have to be together, because if you're missing one, it means it falls apart. So make sure you use one of these, get used to it, just pull it out of your pouch once you get back in person, get used to marking that quick 90, and you're going to use that to make a perfectly straight cut. And tune in next time for your next episode of Tool Time!